smell that this is for record. You can smell that this, if you want to go there, is for the setup. This is for the shakedown. Or you could say, oh no, she's just being explicit and she's just being open, and that's their relationship. But this is where I'm like, oh man.
Wants to be associated with those things, that's not his intent, and that's not his heart. And so my biggest thing for him is, if these aren't actions that are of him, I hope that he's cleared of them.
Right.
And then for the young lady, if these are things that has happened to her, you hope that she's able to process that and in some way feel like she has been not only compensated, but that she has sought and found the justice that she's looking for. But it's like you said, period, it's just a bad look. Whether it's the text messages, whether it's the voice messages, whatever it is, it's a bad.
Shannon Sharpe is out here catching heat like never before. Ryan Clark just straight up snapped on him, airing out all that shady behavior with women that's been lurking in the shadows for ages.
Well, I'm not really.
Flat out say Shannon was guilty of the stuff he's being sued over, but he sure didn't act shocked either. He made it real clear. Shannon's been pulling these weird moves for a minute. And man, Shannon is losing his mind over Ryan's words. But here's the wild part. He can scream all he wants, but folks are whispering that he's still out here begging Gabby to take some hush money and sweep this whole mess under the rug. It's looking like Shannon is trying every trick in the book to dodge the spotlight. This is a total train wreck. Can you believe that just last year, if you told anybody Shannon would be drowning in SA accusations come 2025, they'd have told you to get checked out. But look at this circus now. It's ugly, and it's only getting worse. And let's be real, while half the world is stunned, Ryan Clark ain't one bit surprised. He basically said Shannon getting dragged into lawsuits like this is just who he is. According to Ryan, Shannon's been known for acting weird around women way before the lawsuits even started.
I don't know. Anything I say, you're just gonna like get mad at, and you're just gonna hang up on me. So
One of the wildest things Ryan dragged out was those leaked texts and audio clips tied to the lawsuit Shannon's wrestling with. Most people have peeped those messages by now, and you can't deny how straight up disturbing they are. I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're effing me. I know you miss this. Big Juicy behind $25,000 for each cheek. Only if you put that baby gravy in me, then I can do whatever I want. To me, I want to put my tongue in your hole and then marry you. That's my daddy. I want you to put a big black baby in me. And the line that really makes you want to faint. You better crave it, because you're going to be stuck with it for life after you put a big black baby in me. Like, what even is that? If this was two freaky teens messing around, maybe folks would just roll their eyes and move on. But this was an old dude talking like that to a 19-year-old. The secondhand embarrassment is unreal. Who on earth says $25,000 for a cheek? And that whole, put a big black baby in me line? Wow, that's just too much.
A lot of times, people just are who they are. And you're looking at Shannon, his brand has never really been anything that said he might not be into some of the things that we're learning, right? You could go back to the IG Live, or you could listen to some of the things that he promotes as sponsors of his show, or just certain ways he talks about women during nightcap or whatever it is, right? Like, okay, never hid that. And that's not illegal.
What's crazier is Shannon's own lawyer was the one who leaked all this. For real. The plan was to clap back and show that Gabby was the one begging Shannon for all this stuff, but instead, it turned into a total disaster that made everything look 10 times worse. But all it really did was make Shannon look like some old dude who still thinks acting freaky is cool and can't stop obsessing over OnlyFans girls and corn. It's a terrible look, no matter how you spin it. And don't even get me started on those recordings. 2 phone calls have been floating around lately, and they're even more cringe than the texts. In one of them, you can actually hear Shannon threatening that girl, and she sounds terrified the whole time. It's chilling to hear her voice shaking while he tries to act tough.
Now, Shannon has been running with the idea that all of this is a shakedown and that he didn't do anything wrong or illegal to Gabby.
This was a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busman, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million.
Ryan wasn't done dragging him either. He also put Shannon on blast for the way he's always talked about women, especially the nasty stuff he says on his shows. If you've ever watched Shannon's shows, you can't pretend there's nothing weird going on with how he talks about women, especially black women. The stuff he says might get some chuckles in a locker room packed with juiced-up NFL guys, but out here in the real world, it just makes him look like a creep and a straight-up misogynist. That's why it's not so hard for people to picture him being the type who'd treat a partner bad behind closed doors. For example, people just pulled up an old tweet of his where he was taking shots at black women. He actually said, "Why are you on my page? Don't you have another horse to rob of his hair? Stop trying to kill my vibe." And get this, he was clapping back at someone who called him out for always trashing black women players in the WNBA. That post called him out for only hyping up Caitlin Clark while turning a blind eye when black women got disrespected. We probably should have known right then that Shannon was into some questionable stuff, if you catch my drift. But that's not the only shady thing folks have dug up from Shannon's past. This isn't even the first time he's been accused of putting his hands on women. When people started digging, they uncovered an old complaint from when he was co-hosting FS1's Undisputed. According to an insider, Shannon got accused of choking a female production assistant at work. One source claimed that Shannon and Fox paid her off with a settlement worth several $100,000, and that's why no lawsuit ever popped up in court. Another source said Shannon's crew teamed up with Fox's legal team to keep everything locked down because the backlash would have been massive if the story came out. But once this new lawsuit started blowing up, the old accusations bubbled back up and Shannon's people had to finally speak on it. They claimed there was never any choking on the FS1 set. They said it was just some light physical interaction that happened in a playful way with a few coworkers. Fox Sports decided to handle it behind closed doors. But wait, it gets even messier. Shannon's ex, Michelle, also sued him back in the day. And here's the kicker. The details in that lawsuit look way too similar to the one Gabby just filed.
So we all know about the report of a $100 million deal for Shannon Sharpe and his king empire of Shay Media. Duh, made a ton of sense. But now as I look back on it, that $100 million deal was reported. And did she know that that deal was happening? Or she didn't know? Because on Friday, it was reported, and on Sunday, she filed. Now, I could get a work week, Monday through Friday, but then you're gonna file on a Sunday? What happened between Friday and Sunday?
Michelle filed her lawsuit back in 2023, saying she and Shannon were together for around 10 years before everything turned dark. In September 2010, Michelle found out Shannon was cheating and tried to confront him about it, but he didn't handle it well at all. She claimed he got violent with her, allegedly forcing her to perform oral on him and then dragging her to the bed where he assaulted her, all while threatening he'd make sure no other man would ever want her again. If this sounds familiar, that's because Gabby's lawsuit reads almost the same. She said the first time Shannon assaulted her was right after she tried to leave him in October last year. This was right after he went live on Instagram while hooking up with another woman. Gabby said Shannon forced her to go down on him, telling her, "You've disrespected me so much. I'm gonna punish this A. I will make it so no man will want you again." Then he allegedly assaulted her through her a hole, and while doing it, he said, "Look at my arm. I've got chills. That's how good this is." The whole time, Gabby was crying and sobbing like her world was falling apart. Michelle said after he attacked her, Shannon started stalking and threatening her nonstop. He told her he'd ruin her life if she ever spoke up about what happened, and kept calling her to remind her that he was watching every move she made. It got so terrifying that she finally filed for a restraining order just to feel safe, and later, she sued him for defamation when he tried to smear her name after they split. Shannon didn't just leave Michelle alone. He trolled her non-stop on his platform. He cracked jokes about her all the time and never once told his fans to chill out when they flooded her with insults and dragged her all over the internet. Once this lawsuit started popping back up, Shannon's team rushed to drop a statement slamming Michelle, claiming she was just trying to cash in by jumping on the Shannon hate train. They called her lawsuit old news, fanciful exaggerations, and blatant misrepresentation of facts. They swore the allegations were pure nonsense and promised Shannon would fight back hard against what they called malicious lies. But Michelle wasn't backing down an inch. Now she's saying Shannon is pulling the same stunts with Gabby that he did to her. He didn't need to talk about Gabby's OnlyFans account or put her screen name out there, but he did it anyway. Michelle says this was no accident. She claims Shannon did it on purpose to distract everybody from the lawsuit and make people judge Gabby's lifestyle instead. She said, "I want people to understand what Shannon did to this woman by doxing her, by putting out her name, by putting out her account. That was horrifying because things are going to happen to her because of that. I still get it to this day."
Offer 10 million says that there might be some truth to this, because I'm not offering nobody no 10 million if I know I didn't do anything. And I think the only reason that 10 million didn't work, Killer, I want to know how you feel about this. I think the 10 million didn't work because the pimp need his cut. You know, just allegedly. I'm not saying there is a pimp, right? Let me give you. It's just an idea. This is just an idea, right? So if there's a pimp, right?
Michelle explained she went through all kinds of mess that came straight from Shannon exposing her, and it never really stopped. Meanwhile, Shannon keeps insisting this is all a giant shakedown and swears he never did anything wrong or illegal to Gabby. His lawyer dropped a heated statement too. They said, "This lawsuit filed by Gabriela Zuniga and pushed by her attorney Tony Busby is a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars. It's packed with lies, distortions, and misrepresentations, and it will not succeed. Mr. Sharpe fully denies all claims of coercion or misconduct, especially the outrageous lie of SA, and he will not cave to what he sees as a nasty attempt at blackmail. He stands firm in the truth and is ready to fight these false stories hard in court. He looks forward to clearing his name through due process and a judgment based on real facts and the law." But here's the twist. Shannon had actually been begging Gabby to settle behind closed doors for months. The two of them were already deep into mediation way before she ever filed the lawsuit. And during that time, Shannon straight up offered her a $10 million payout to make the whole situation disappear. That move made him look guilty as hell. People were quick to point out that you don't just wave around $10 million if you're truly innocent. Like, why would you even want to pay that much if you did nothing wrong? Folks dragged Shannon all over social media for this, saying offering Gabby that cash was a terrible idea. Now she knows exactly how desperate he is to keep this drama out of the spotlight, and that's the worst position he could be in right now. But allegedly, when Shannon realized Gabby wasn't going to settle, he went full damage control mode and started painting himself as the victim of some big setup. And honestly, the way things are going, his plan seems to be working, because that's all anybody's talking about now.
This extortion angle that Shannon and his lawyers have chosen could either be A, cover, let's inflate his worth before this hits, because we know it's going to hit negotiations that are broken down in settlement, or B, which is worse, probably, someone with knowledge of these negotiations and the settlement offers leaked it to the public to blow up Shannon Sharpe's potential deal. Someone knew that he was in line for $100 million and leaked it to blow up the negotiations and the settlement, the mediation, and to deflate his value. So now you're not gonna get $100 million because all this gonna hit the fan. Maybe one of the suitors did that or someone close to Shannon Sharpe. So I just wanted to set that up. That's just setting up the tone.
Marcellus Wiley jumped in on the drama and shared some pretty wild thoughts about the whole situation. He said he believes Shannon probably is getting set up because the lawsuit dropped just 2 days after news broke that Shannon was about to cash in big time. If you didn't know, Shannon was getting ready to lock down a massive $100 million deal after his contract with Colin Cowherd's The Volume Podcast Network ended. He's been pulling crazy numbers across all his podcasts and shows, so every major media company was lining up to throw money at him. It's not really shocking. His interview with Cat Williams alone racked up almost 90 million views. Before all this blew up, nobody was even talking about Shannon's behind-the-scenes deals. But out of nowhere, everybody's obsessed with how he was about to grab that huge payday. But here's where it gets shady. Marcellus also hinted that maybe Shannon or someone in his camp leaked the deal details on purpose. He thinks it could have been a strategic move to fuel this narrative that the lawsuit is nothing but a big old shakedown to get some of that fresh $100 million. The word is Shannon leaked the news about that monster deal on purpose so that when Gabby filed her lawsuit, folks would stop talking about the stuff she accused him of and instead start yelling about how she just wanted a piece of that $100 million pie. But no matter how slick his little media games are, it sounds like Shannon isn't handling the pressure too well behind the scenes. ESPN has already forced him to step away for a while, and insiders are whispering that he might never come back to his spot, even after all the dust settles. There's even talk that Disney isn't about to stand by him till the end. He's turning into a giant PR headache they don't want messing with their stock prices. And as if that wasn't enough, there's more tea. Shannon has allegedly gone back to Gabby's team, trying to cut a fresh out-of-court deal after spending all this time blasting her and pushing his setup story. He knows if this case goes all the way to court, things could get real ugly for him, and his whole brand might be toast. But what do you think? Is Shannon way in over his head, or does he have some miracle move left to save his name before it all falls apart? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, share this video with your crew, and smash that like button. I'll catch you in the next one with even more wild stories.